Hola! Today, you're going to take your last major bit of notes for this school year. And it has to do, once again, with el subjuntivo. And it has to do with the use of the subjunctive after certain conjunctions, known as adverbial conjunctions. And so we're going to discuss a little bit what some conjunctions are, what some common ones are in Spanish, and then the 6 adverbial conjunctions in Spanish that, depending on certain conditions, may require the use of the subjunctive. You are likely going to hear my dog playing around with a squeaky toy in the background, as you just heard throughout, so I apologize for the distraction. Got her. Let's get started. So, first things first, what's a conjunction? ¿Qué es una conjunción? A conjunction is a word that's used to connect words or groups of words. So, a few common conjunctions in English would be and, but, or, for, along those lines. And of course that translates in Español to y, pero, o, and para or por. Now, the conjunctions we're focusing on today aren't these common ones that most of you have been using since Spanish 1 or middle school, depending on when you started. Where we're focusing today is those common conjunctions in Spanish that require the use of the subjunctive if there's a change of subject in the sentence. In other words, si hay cambio de sujeto en la oración. There are 6 conjunctions that you're going to need to learn well, and we use the mnemonic device ESCAPA to help us remember them. Where you see the mnemonic device on the first page of your notes packet, you need to make sure that you write down accurately each conjunction in Spanish and its English translation so that you know what you're talking about. We have en caso de que, which means in case, sin que, which means without, con tal que, which means provided that, antes de que, which means before, para que, which means so that, and a menos que, which means unless. Once you have that down, at the bottom of the first page, you need to write down the examples that are on the next slide. I'm also going to provide out loud an English translation if you would like to write it down. We have one example, un ejemplo, for each conjunction that we see here. So starting off, yo voy a ir en mi carro en caso de que sea necesario salir. I am going to go in my car in case it is necessary to leave. You have the change in subject, I, in the first clause, and it in the second clause, which requires the use of the subjunctive after the adverbial conjunction en caso de que. Second example. Es imposible salir de la casa sin que mi mamá me haga 100 preguntas. We have the adverbial conjunction sin que, the subject of the first clause being it, and the subject of the second clause being my mom. And the translation of this sentence is, it's impossible to leave the house without my mom asking me 100 questions. The third example. Yo voy a ir a la fiesta con tal que Alicia no venga. Adverbial conjunction is con tal que. The subject of the first clause is yo, and the subject of the second clause is Alicia. Traducción, I am going to go to the party, provided that Alicia doesn't come. Your fourth example, with the adverbial conjunction antes de que. Tengo que volver a casa antes de que mis padres sepan que salí. That's a typo there that I don't have the que, but sepan que salí. I have to return to my house before my parents know that I left. You have in the first clause the subject I or yo, and in the second clause the subject my parents, mis padres. Fifth example, necesitamos hablar con nuestro amigo para que él nos pueda decir un secreto. We need to talk with our friend so that he can tell us a secret. We have the adverbial conjunction para que. The subject of the first clause is nosotros or we, and the subject of the second clause is él or he. Finally, for número 6, we have the adverbial conjunction a menos que, unless. Adela quiere casarse con Pepe a menos que él rompa con ella. Adela wants to get married to Pepe unless he breaks up with her. We have Adela as the subject of the first clause and Pepe as the subject of the second clause. Now what you want to do is pause the video and complete the first 5 sentences at the top of Página 2 with the correct form of the verb en el presente del subjuntivo. Once you're all set, you're going to unpause the video and finish up the notes regarding what we do with adverbial clauses when there is no change in subject. The biggest thing that you need to remember, si no hay cambio de sujeto, if there is no change in subject, is that you won't see the word que in the sentence. You would see en caso de, or sin, o con tal de, or antes de, or para, or... Sorry, I'm completely blanking. That's bad. A menos que, sorry. Or a menos. Not a menos que, a menos. So you won't see the word que there, and that'll be your first big hint that you don't need to use a subjunctive. You're also going to use the infinitivo, which is the unconjugated form of the verb, after the conjunction. So we have 3 examples here at the bottom of Página 2. First off, we have, yo siempre les escribo unas cartas para mis hijos antes de salir. I always write some short little letters for my children before leaving. The subject of the entire sentence is yo, because I am the one who writes the letters, and I am the one who's leaving. The second sentence, hay alguna gente que está feliz sin el apoyo de familiares y amigos. There are some people who are happy without the support of relatives and friends, or family members and friends. And finally, es necesario trabajar mucho para mantener buenas relaciones con los amigos y los familiares. It's necessary to work a lot in order to maintain good relationships with family members and friends. Finally, you're going to pause again. Actually, this is the end of the video, so what you need to do on Página 3 is you're going to complete each sentence with either the subjunctive or the infinitive. And remember that your big clue is that you're not going to see the word que in a sentence that doesn't require the subjunctive. If a sentence only requires the infinitive, remember that it is not necessary to make any change to the verb. Just write what's already there in the line. Make sure to check with me if you have questions and as you complete your work. Gracias.